My goal with today's lesson is to get them more comfortable with having conversations about history, about the content, the artifacts, being able to like have that discourse back and forth where somebody shares their thinking and somebody else can bond, add on, disagree. Because I feel like with the central question and the supporting question we had today, there's elements of it that are debatable. And I think that gets kids like excited to have that conversation. We're going to talk about two different things: the Hellenistic legacy and how war and conquest shaped society. We're going to look at some sources, we're going to look at some artwork, and then you're going to get some time to like talk with your group about how Alexander shaped society and how war and conquest shaped society. So you are going to, first column is the sea. What do you see that's similar between two of them? And then you're gonna look at the coins and then the statues. So what's something that you see similar between them? And I'd look at like their style, like materials that they're made out of or design. And then the second question, you're gonna think about how did the Hellenistic art combine Greek and non-Greek influences? I basically want you to do two things here. Tell me, what do you see in that artifact that is Greek, and what do you see that shows another culture? So name two things. And for that think column, you're looking at just three specific artifacts. In the last column, you're gonna write one question you have about legacy, about what's lasted with Hellenistic art. I think it's one thing to like read it in a book or to have your teacher say like, these cultures blended. It's another thing to like literally see something that they created 3,000 years ago and go, oh, like this is built with this style element and this style element from these two different cultures coming together. And I think it enhances their learning when they can feel a little more like a detective. They're more engaged when they can find the clues themselves versus just being told. So I think you could write for coins then, what's on both of them? The gods, right? We got Hercules and Athena. So you got Greek gods on both of those. That would be a good similarity. Jumping in, it's always hard. I think like as a teacher to restrain myself and not jump in right away when they ask the question to see if another kid can answer the question. So it is something I'm still practicing after many years of teaching. But I will say as the year goes on, the kids get more comfortable with helping one another get through the process and get through the task. And they're better at just calling me over if they need it. I mainly just listen for, does this group have a handle on what we're doing? Are they making progress? And even if they're not working at the same pace as another group, that's fine as long as they are making quality connections as they go. What does this Bactrian king have on his head?
Pharaoh, whatever.
Okay, so like a hat, read what it's on that hat. Elephant.
Symbol of conquest.
Yeah. So it's an elephant. Do you typically get elephants in Europe, in the Greece area? Remember we talking about that yesterday?
No, they don't really see them.
Yeah, they don't see them, right? So that would definitely be not a Greek influence, but yeah, like a Persian influence.
Wearing an elephant scalp.
Artifacts, they're getting better at looking at an artifact and seeing what's actually there. They're becoming more critical thinkers when they're looking at their sources with practice as the years gone on. Greek writing, Greek Hercules, cool. What do we see that's not Greek from this coin? What other culture is represented here?
The elephant on the Demetrius's head.
Yeah, the elephant on the king's head, on Demetrius's head. Why do you say elephant? That's not Greek. Why?
Those are used from Persians and their things.
Okay, so elephants are from Persia. Elephants are not native to Greece, right? So that's clearly going to be an influence of this culture that we're looking at here from Bactria, or what was right before Alexander, the Persian Empire. Cool. What do we see on the statues that's not Greek?
There's a Buddha on almost every statue, which is from
Buddhism.
From Buddhism. Yeah, so we've got images of the Buddha as well. Today, we're talking about how does Hellenistic legacy endure today? So how do we still see this blend of Greek, Persian, Indian, Egyptian, thank you. How do we see that still in our world today? So I want you to consider, when answering this question, what we've studied, what you guys even read last night about literature, history, government, medicine, etc. What do we know about those elements that could help us answer just one of these questions? You're going to look at the next part of the chart is going back to our essential question. How do war and conquest shape society? So we've been talking about Alexander, so we're just going to focus on his war and conquest. How does that shape society? So think about how this might affect stability of an empire, safety of the people, economy, religion, culture. How are those things affected by war and conquest? And you're going to answer just one of those two prompts. So you get to choose, do you want to talk about something more positive or something negative in this one? I don't care which question you start with. For some of you, it might be easier to pick one of these to start with first and then go up to the Hellenism one. That's fine. But you're picking one for essential question and one for supporting question to write about. So we're thinking, how do war and conquest shape society? Like, how does war and taking over places affect people? Okay? And that might affect how stable they are, their safety, their economy, religion, culture, just to name a few. Now you're basically going to choose, like, do you want to talk about something positive about war and conquest or something negative about war and conquest? Okay, you want to go negative? All right. So think of one way Alexander's actions harmed or restricted the people was. So just think of something that he did that was harmful and then say why that matters and maybe make that connection to why it matters back to this. One of those, does that make more sense? Okay. Do you think like it'd be easier for us to do business together if we speak the same language?
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Can you add that in up here? And do you think that's the kind of leader?
No.
Is that like an effective leadership style?
It's effective for getting people to follow you, but it's not very good.
Do you think it would last for a long time? Like, do you think there might be some ways that it could all fall apart?
Yes, if people don't want this to happen to them, they can rebel and be like, absolutely not, we're going to fight.
All right, let's jot a couple of those ideas down because we're going to go into the next part in a second. We're going to go real simple protocol. One person's going to share. Somebody else at the table has to respond. If you're like, oh no, how do I respond to them? There's a chart at the bottom of your page where you could have some prompts to help you add on or maybe disagree with them. Or maybe you have to ask them a question because you're not sure what they mean, but you need to respond. So at least one person has to respond, and then you can repeat. So if somebody else wants to add on to that first comment, that's fine, or you guys can go to a new person sharing. As long as everybody gets a chance to either state something or respond.
It allowed culture to spread, and he did not try to destroy it.
I said one way Hellenism influenced people in the ancient world was Greek armies started a new revolution for other armies as well.
I chose the first one about how it influenced the ancient world. Architecture influenced because they made the Greek styled cities, and then it's important because it's still used today.
We're encouraging them to respond to each other, to build off of one another, to ask clarifying questions, and don't be afraid to disagree with one another too, and find a polite way to do that. So that way no one feels discredited, but you can also feel free to express difference of opinion. Having a protocol, I think, helps because it gives it that structure. It helps define what their responsibilities are.